the hall. Max circled the room, and his gaze fell on a tall clock near the window. Distracted, he stepped closer, noting the gleaming burnish of pear wood inlaid with ebony. The tympanum was a brass relief of the huntress Diana, dogs and hawks, and an admiring Apollo at her side. It would have cost a fortune. Max's eyes skipped over the furnishings, picking out the exotic woods accented by beautifully brocaded fabrics. A pianoforte rested against the wall by the window, its craftsmanship obvious in the flowing lines. A tall, narrow bookcase grazed the ceiling, a collection of expensive leather-bound tomes standing in neat lines upon its shelves. Max swung his eyes back to the clock and frowned at the image of Apollo, the god's eyes turned in the direction of the fierce huntress. There was a critical question he'd failed to answer, and that was who Miss Moore was. Her accent was that of a lady. Her address was that of a courtesan. Her furnishings were those of a princess. Her occupation was that of a confidence artist, or worse. "Good morning, Your Grace." Max spun on his heel to find Miss Moore standing in the doorway of the drawing-room. She'd been nothing if not a woman of her word when she'd said she'd be available at any time. For if she was surprised to see him at this ridiculous hour, she didn't show it. Nor did she look like a woman who had been up all night. She was dressed once again in a plain grey wool dress, designed to be serviceable and, Max suspected, unnoticeable. Her thick hair was neatly braided and pinned, and at a glance she could have passed for a governess, or a merchant's wife, or one of any number of women who made their way about London daily, apart, that was, from her uncommon looks. No man with a pulse and eyes in his head would overlook her. She evoked images of dark nights and secret desires. She stepped into the room, closing the door behind her. "Is the decor to your taste?" "What?" "You were examining the clock."
"I was checking the time,"
he said defensively. Ah. Miss Moore had an unreadable expression on her face.
"My father had an Edward East clock similar to this in his study. It was given to him as a gift."
Max had no idea why he was telling such an inane detail to this woman. Miss Moore was looking up at the goddess amid her hounds and hawks, her eyes almost wistful now. This clock, too, was a gift.
"To you?"
What an unusual thing to gift a lady with. But then again, there was nothing usual about Miss Moore. "Yes."
"From whom?"
Miss Moore turned her dark eyes back in his direction and considered him. "From my husband." An inexplicable pang of disappointment assailed him, and he ignored it. She was married? Well, that was a little surprising, since she had introduced herself as Miss Moore. Though, given what she did, it was less surprising that she wasn't using her real name. A thought struck Max. Perhaps her husband was Mr. Chegarre.
"And where is your husband now? Can I speak with him?"
"My husband passed away 5 years ago," she said, and the wistfulness that he thought he had seen earlier was clearly evident now.
"Oh."
A sliver of something that felt like relief needled through him, and Max was horrified at himself. Was he really going to admit to being pleased that this woman was a widow?
"I'm sorry."
"For your loss and my appalling sentiments." Miss Moore raised her shoulders ever so slightly before letting them drop. "Thank you."
"Your husband had good taste," he said.
A smooth brow arched.
"The clock, it's beautiful."
"As are you. Your husband was a very lucky man." Max shifted uncomfortably, uncertain where these thoughts were coming from. Miss Moore returned her attention to the clock. "My husband said that I reminded him of Diana," she said so quietly that Max barely heard her. After what he had witnessed last night from this woman, Max was rather